Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jonesy and Amanda's gonna run for. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jonesy and Amanda's gonna run for. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
On the cutting room floor today.
I'm going to tell you about a man today called Frano Salak. He's a Croatian man, and he's no longer alive. But while he was alive, he cheated death 7 times.
Whoa.
Do you want to hear about them?
Please.
Or we just leave it at this?
That's it.
That's the end of my story.
Well, when you said you were going to tell me a story,
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be about a man named Jed.
The poor mountaineer barely kept his family fed.
You know the story, and one day he's shooting up some food.
Up through the ground came some bubbling crude.
Next thing you know.
You know, it's oil, that is.
No,
Black Gold
no.
Texas tea.
Yeah, but
We're aging ourselves, Brendan.
next thing you know, Jed's a millionaire, which means nothing
Townsfolk
these
said,
days.
Get out of there.
The kinfolk said, Jed, move away from there.
Okay, Brendan.
Said California is the place you ought to be.
Packed up the family and he moved to Beverly Hills, that is. Swimming pools.
Okay, we're done.
Now, we're done now. Now,
Back
I'm going
to-
to tell
back
you
to
about
your
this. Back to my mate, Frano Salak. He cheated death 7 times. He survived some extraordinary incidents in all kinds of transport. The first one, he was travelling by a train when it suddenly derailed and fell into an icy river. Despite breaking his arm, he managed to swim to shore and was the only survivor of the accident.
Goodness.
A year later, he's on a plane. The door blows open, blow the bleeding doors off mid-flight.
You're right.
He gets sucked out of the plane, lands on a haystack, wakes up in hospital, discovers once again he's the only survivor. 3 years later, he's riding on a bus. It skids off the road and into a river. Once again, he walks away unharmed. It's an insurance commercial. He decided quite wisely he'd avoid public transportation.
Yeah.
He buys a car, but twice its engine catches fire while he's driving. Luckily, both times he gets out just before the gas tank explodes.
Goodness.
Then he was hit by a bus while walking. Again, escaped only with major injuries. And then he had his biggest one. They were just bingles compared to this. His most dramatic accident came when his car plunged off a cliff. He jumped out just in time, grabbed onto a tree branch and saved himself from a fatal fall.
Wow.
And then, so he got reborn, as it were, 7 times.
Yep.
Then he won $1 million in the lottery.
Oh. And so how did he pass away eventually?
Well, he was born in 29 and died in 2016, so I'm assuming that's old age.
Just
of
old
some
age?
kind.
But what a life.
But it's amazing. The headline of this story is Luckiest Man Alive. And I find all this hilarious. That surely the luckiest person alive is the person who none of this happens to.
True.
It's like if you fall over and break your arm, people say, lucky you didn't break your arm and your leg. No, you're lucky because you didn't even break your arm.
You know, I
It's a
often
weird
think
mentality.
it is. I feel that I'm blessed. When I was 5 years of age, I was run over by a motorcycle in a back alley in Melbourne.
Is this like Elephant Man? Didn't his mum, when he was in utero, get trampled by an elephant and he grew up to be Elephant Man?
No.
You got run over by a bike and you grew up to love bikes.
No, it was a genetic disorder.
Yours?
No, the elephant man, you dope. But then that led to a spate of accidents as a youth. Then after that I got hit by a car on my push bike. Then after that I got hit in a hit and run accident. Then I got hit again by another car. And then after all of that, each time I'd recover, my friend's mum ran over my foot as I was getting out of the car. And then I had a series of motorcycle accidents.
Yes.
So I've had a lot of, and I often think I'm blessed because
Really? You look at that and think you're
just
blessed.
think, I know people that have died for less.
Yeah.
So I always think my guardian angel's going, okay, mate,
Give it a rest.
I tell you what.
You know when you got hit when you were younger by all those cars, were you a kid that played in the street?
That was back in the days when you would. And I'm a pretty cautious person, I'd like to think, now. But back then maybe I was just a little bit too reckless, I suppose.
But isn't it interesting? You had all those accidents by other people knocking into you. Then you buy a bike and have all those accidents.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Maybe you should wrap yourself in cotton wool and just stay home.
I've often thought that. I've been riding motorcycles since I was 19 and I don't drive a car. So the odds are stacked against me. But having said that, if I went and got a Volvo and wrapped myself in cotton, I'd probably die in that. So you can't.
If you sat at home wrapped in Nerf, a plane would land on top of your house.
And it would be filled with liquid and that would drown me in the Nerf. I'm just showing
Well,
off.
I'm
there.
glad you're still here.
Well, I'm glad I'm here too, friendy.
Okay, kids, that's it for today. Come back tomorrow for more Jonesy and Amanda's Cutting the Room Floor.